Kia ora koutou and welcome to the Greater Wellington Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference. My name is Angela Caves and I am the Digital Events Manager with Digital Boost. With me today, I've got my collaborating partners, Talay and Janine from Connected. They're Employment Liaison Advisors based in the Wellington Wairarapa region. We've had a really good start to our conference. We've just wrapped up 2 sessions, one with our opening collaborating partners Connected, and then secondly we had the networkers. So if you missed those sessions and do want to watch them, we will be distributing a playlist at the end of the conference. We are about to kick in with our 3rd session with the team from Amotai. So we've got Tui and Paul with us. We are able to interact with you guys via the chat or the Q&A function. So if you do have any questions for the team at Connected or Amotai or myself, please pop them in the chat and we'll be distributing any links or email addresses in the chat as well. Thank you to those who are joining us via our live stream, either Facebook, LinkedIn or YouTube, and welcome to those of you who are in the webinar. It's my pleasure to introduce Tui from Amotai, who's going to kick us off. Thanks, Tui. Welcome along.
Thank you. Kia ora, everyone. Thank you for attending today's session. Ko waio, ko hikarangi te maunga, ko waipu te awa, ko Ngāti Porou te iwi, ko roa taupari te hapu, ko te ari uru te marae, ko Tui Babington ahau, engari he Evas ahau. No tūranga nui a Kiwa ahau. I'm the manu hoia based in Tairāwhiti in Gisborne, and I work alongside a really strong team across the country and with our national satellite office based in Auckland. So today my colleague was supposed to be presenting, but he's running a little bit late, so I'll jump in. So I'm just going to share my screen, so bear with me, and we'll start with a little video.
Supplier diversity is a global practice. Here in Aotearoa, our experience is that Māori and Pasifika businesses are the untapped change agents in creating a more inclusive and more sustainable New Zealand economy. Business is one of the main ways Māori and Pasifika can build wealth for their families and communities. That's why we advocate for supplier diversity, getting more Māori and Pasifika businesses contract opportunities with government agencies, local councils, private enterprises, iwi and other not-for-profit organisations. Supplier diversity is a strategic and intentional business process that proactively engages, supports and enables businesses owned by Indigenous people, minority groups, women and social enterprises to be engaged in business-to-business supply chains. Here in Aotearoa, supplier diversity specifically focuses on Māori and Pasifika businesses. Its aim is to level the playing field so these businesses have fairer access to customers and markets. By diversifying your spend, you open up incredible benefits not just for the organisations you contract, but for your own organisation as well. Supplier diversity enables this to happen and supports economic development not just for Māori and Pasifika communities, but for Aotearoa as a whole. When Māori and Pasifika communities prosper, we all prosper. A Māori business is a business that has at least 50% shareholdings by someone who has whakapapa Māori. A Pasifika business is a business that has at least 50% shareholdings held by someone who has Indigenous whakapapa links to the Pasifika nations. Supplier diversity helps to close the wealth gap in Aotearoa, create more employment opportunities for Māori and Pasifika people, create more Māori and Pasifika role models, grow more Māori and Pasifika businesses, drive innovation, and much more. Creating quality supplier diversity programs is also a major competitive advantage and can lead to winning more work, accessing new revenue streams and new markets. So, how does it work? Amotai is the supplier diversity intermediary and experts in supplier diversity in Aotearoa. We connect Māori and Pasifika businesses to contract opportunities. Māori and Pasifika businesses register with Amotai for free. Their business ownership is verified by our verification team, and we connect with each business to learn more about their services and business journey. Buyers that want to buy from Māori and Pasifika businesses subscribe to Amotai and can choose the level of support they require to connect and purchase from Amotai businesses. Having one verified database makes it easy for buying organisations to search for Māori and Pasifika businesses by region and category of work and purchase from those businesses. Supplier diversity creates a more inclusive and more sustainable New Zealand economy. The tide is turning. Join Amotai, Supplier Diversity Aotearoa.
So, Amotai, that's a really good video there that we've produced recently, and it demonstrates exactly what we do as an organisation, but I'll just take you through some slides to give you a little bit more info. So social procurement examples are here on the screen. What Amotai does is focuses down this right end in the circle area around supply diversity. So supply diversity looks at a diverse supply chain for Māori and Pasifika. And you'll see there that we've got a target of 5%. So the government has set a target of 5% of their procurement spend through Māori and Pasifika businesses. And it'd be great for us to understand what the total value of the contract is and how our Māori businesses have gained access to some of that work through government agencies. Not only government agencies are on our books, we also have local councils and corporate and private entities that want to buy from a Māori and Pasifika business. So when we're looking at supply diversity, when you're looking at a Māori business, some of these other social outcome examples can be ticked off as well. So when we're dealing with a Māori business, then we know that a lot of them want to uplift and bring their own people up as well. And so that would mean training up the rangatahi or bringing on women and upskilling to get the best out of everyone in that situation. So supply diversity levers. So these are some of the levers that we've been able to pull since 2020. And so in Gisborne, we had Iconic Group, a Ngāti Porou businessman based up in Auckland, but was able to win some contracts down here with Kāinga Ora, and he's actually built his business now across the country. And further along the track here, some of these other ones are obviously based up in Auckland. And then our other opportunities here were with the PDU contracts. So that was the $3 billion that the government put out to all the regions to apply for funding to upskill. And a lot of those contracts had supply diversity clauses in them, where the main contract holders had to engage one if they weren't a Māori business that won the contract, but then if they didn't win it, then they had to use subcontractors to work within that supply chain. So we've had a lot of our businesses working across community initiatives in their regions and plugging in Māori and Pasifika businesses where they can. A really cool example that I saw in Tairāwhiti was one of our Māori businesses, is working with the Tier 1 business based here, and they've never been able to get a foot in the door through with that business. And not only has this opportunity opened up the door for the one job that the government funded, but it now has opened up the door for other opportunities with that organisation. So that's been a really good example of how this model is working. And then obviously further down the track, the government set that target of 5%. So 5% is a good start, and we're working really hard towards making that happen with our buyers and our suppliers. So this is just a little case study. So this is Aroha. She's been a cleaner her whole life. She's had no pay rise in 8 years, but was managing staff and sites. She had full qualifications for flooring, cleaning, etc. And she reached out to Amotai. And we linked her up with a business manager. We got her started setting up her business. and she then registered with Amotai on our database. What that did was open up the door for her. She now has a contract circa 600,000 K, and it's low health and safety risk for her. She's located in South Auckland, and she now has 8 staff that she's paying all above the living wage. So she's working with 3 of our buyers that are in the database, or corporate businesses that obviously need some site clearance when they complete their jobs. So she's really happy. So yeah, this is what we do. So we provide buyers wanting to implement supply diversity into their organisation support. So depending on what their organisation looks like, we will start from the top. So that could look like implementing policies, supporting the championed person within that organisation that can help grow supply diversity, looking at their procurement policies, looking at how they procure, particularly with government agencies, whether it's a closed tender, an open tender, whether things can be direct awarded to a Māori or Pacifica business. Those are the kind of conversations that we have at our buyer level. We maintain an online database of verified Māori and Pacifica businesses. And so you would have seen on the video there that 50% ownership is important. And that goes back to that story that I was saying earlier around how we know, one, we want to create intergenerational wealth for our Māori and Pacifica businesses, but also we know that our Māori and Pacifica people grow their own people as well. So whether that be women, rangatahi, we know that they're training and developing our own people as well. And not only about the mahi that they're doing, but also through tikanga Māori as well, which is awesome. And together we work with our partners to grow capability and capacity for our Māori and Pacifica businesses. So it is our job to understand a supplier, a business, and we would work within the ecosystem with all of our other service providers out there like TPK, Potama Trust, HTK, all of those supporting arms to help build capability for our Māori and Pacifica business. So if a business was wanting to upskill in finance or marketing, we would plug them into the regional business partner program or something like that, which enables them to get funding to help grow in that space. So here's some of our buyers that are in our database. So like I said, there are a number of commercial corporate businesses here, and we also have iwi, council, and central government agencies as well. Now, my apologies, I wasn't supposed to be presenting today, so this information is slightly out of date, but this gives you a good feel for the number of businesses that we have on board. So we actually have over 1,200 businesses now, but they all tend to have around, an average of 12 FTE. 60% of them are Māori or Pacifica people, and of our total businesses, there's around 12,000 FTE employed with Amotai businesses. So we do have a national team, and our team is growing at the moment. So again, apologies. This slide is probably slightly out of date, but we do have a national team up in Auckland, and then most of our regions are starting to get on manapuia like myself across the country. But we all tap into each other's regions to help support our Māori and Pacifica businesses where we can, especially when we're working alongside our buyers. Our buyers might have opportunities in other regions that different to me in Tairāwhiti, so I would link in the regional relationship manager at that point, and our buyers would work with them. So yes, we are the government intermediaries for supply diversity, and we've partnered alongside the PDU and TPK to deliver this awesome mahi that we're doing. So yeah, if you're a Māori business and you're online, definitely jump on board the waka. Register online here on our website, www.amotai.co.nz. Yeah, so that was short and brief. Is there any questions out there?
Thank you, Tui and Paul, for coming through today. We do have a few questions.
Oh.
I'll just quickly check as well if there's any in the so just roughly with registration,
Yes.
if someone did want to become a supplier for Amotai, could you just speak briefly about the whole registration process, I guess?
Sure. Yeah. So if you're a Māori business and you want to register with Amotai, you just need to go to that our website, click on the registration button for suppliers, and then it's literally a 10-minute registration form to complete. Some information, so it does ask you to identify what iwi you whakapapa to. So sometimes that gets people a little bit stumped because obviously we're looking for that 50% ownership. So you could be a husband and wife, and you could be a Māori and a Pākehā, and that's totally fine as long as you're 50% owned, then that's kei te pai. Also in the registration form, we ask for some projects that you're working on and just the usual information around your business, like a brief description, your logo, whether you've got a website, Facebook page, what your health and safety looks like, your employment status. Yeah, so it literally takes about 10 minutes, but it's really important that you take the time to complete that information because that's what our buyers will look at. So our government agencies, iwi, council, corporates will use that information that's based in the database to match you to particular jobs that you're working on. I see Paulie's put the link there in the chat for everyone. But yeah, so that's really important. Not all the information is shared with our buyers. And so our buyers might actually, depending on their membership that they purchase with us, so buyers have a membership model, and depending on what level of service they purchase from us determines the level of service that they get from us as well. So they might directly look at your information in the database directly, or they might come and ask for matchmaking services from us as well. So we kind of say that we're like a glorified recruitment agency for Māori and Pacifica businesses, and that's where the difference is. Yeah, I know I kind of went on a little bit there, but I was just adding in
that's fine. Yeah. No, just in terms, I'm just curious on my end.
Yes.
Is there any sort of like tier system with the businesses that you place, depending on how much work they give?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So not necessarily, but it just depends on what stage the business is at, right? And it also depends on the procurement opportunity that's coming from our buyers. So we would never put a business into an opportunity where we thought that they were going to fail. And we always say that our businesses do need to stand up on their own legs in terms of their own capability and capacity. But it is our role to understand where that capability and capacity is so that we can plug you into the right opportunities when they come up. So an example of that is, Kāinga Order. If you actually look at their if you look at their website, they actually share publicly what their work plan looks like for a year. But, you know, in the back end, they probably know that what their work plan looks like for 10 years. And so it would be really good if we had a small construction or electrical business that was like a 1-2 year into the business, and just taking on apprentice. And we know that they're probably not quite ready to take on big contracts with kāinga ora. But, you know, 5 years down the track, they might have built up their own confidence. They've, you know, grown their people within their organisations. They've got the right pre-qualifications that kāinga ora need, and they are ready to now engage with the likes of kāinga ora. So, yeah, so that it's not really tiered for our businesses as such, but it is tiered in terms of work and capability and capacity.
Oh, I see. Thank you. And just going off of that question as well, and the answer, with the capability development side of things, if a business comes to Amotai and I don't know if there's some potential, but they're not quite there yet, just to fill out that, you know, the projects, but I'm not sure. Yeah, how does Amotai help? I know you briefly mentioned it before that you're maybe awhi them to like regional business that partnership network or something. Are there other ways that you guys might awhi them to, or help them in ways to get to that stage?
Yep, so we do a lot of online seminars ourselves. Within our own regions, we do our own kind of meet the buyer events, or meet like networking events to kind of help businesses understand who else is out there within their regions. So we do triage and understand the business. So it just depends business to business, you know, what that opportunity what that gap looks like for that business, and how we can help them. But you did just remind me that we do encourage our Māori businesses. So if they're a business that is still quite new and they don't have all the information to complete the registration form, they can still go ahead and put it in and have their business there. Because what we also do is encourage Māori businesses to buy from other Māori in the database. So so they can see, you know, if you were a builder and you were looking for other electrical or plumbers in your region and you weren't sure who they were and you wanted to buy from a Māori or Pacifica, like, our database is really good for that sort of information as well. No, yeah, so not just talking about construction, there's also professional services in there, like accountants, you know, specialists in the te reo Māori, you know, right through to car washers, cleaners, you know, as I used in my presentation. So we cover all industries.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just could add there, Tilly, as well, with the opportunities that are coming through. I mean, Amotai was kind of born in that big infrastructure boom. So a lot of the businesses, and still, you know, a lot of the businesses are construction based. But we are starting, you know, another part of Tui and I's role is to educate the buyers and to support the buyers. And what we're seeing now is the buyers actually starting to think a lot more outside of construction. And so, you know, an example of that was in my region here in Tauranga and Rotorua, Datacom, who's a big IT firm, they're one of our buyers. They've just finished planning 2 conferences that are going to be taking place at Te Puia Springs in Rotorua. And how they've socially procured for that is they've actually looked at our businesses for a gift koha for the attendees to leave, you know. And, you know, apologies for my lateness and stuff, but I was just out with one of those businesses who got a contract for that. And that it's a local business called Raw Kombucha, and they just, you know, sold 250 units to those conventions, right? So Amotai in its very early conceptual stages right now, you know, has a lot of opportunity in the infrastructure, but as we grow and the database, I mean, I got asked recently by a buyer, do we have any car washes in Tauranga? And I was like, actually, not at the moment. So, if you know any car washes in Tauranga, let me know, because I'd love to, pass that information on to our buyers. But our buyers are starting to look outside construction, which is a really awesome thing, because we have so much more to offer than just construction as Māori Pacifica businesses.
Yeah, I agree. There's a question in the chat. I think you just briefly touched it as well. Yeah. Are there any industries that you don't cover at the moment?
No, it's just more about
very small representation of industry, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Toi Māori, Māori arts and crafts. We've got catering companies. We've got a lot of event managers, and actually just, as Toi mentioned, reo and tikanga providers and things like that. As we kind of shared, we are looking to create that virtual national verified database. And if you're a Māori business, then Māori or Pacifica business, then you have access to the national database that we are building. Tui and I were actively out there building that database, and the latest stat, that was my apology again, is 1,150, 13,334 employees, and it's still sitting around that 66-68% of FTE are Māori Pacifica. So growing, definitely growing. And just a bit of an insight, we have a big goal to get 600 more businesses on board in the next 6 months, nationally. And it's just the tip of the iceberg of what we're trying to achieve, because we are still quite young. We're 2 years into our journey, and we've been able to grow. I remember year one when I first met Tui at the Amotai Summit in this capacity. Amotai was around about 300, 500 strong, and now a year on, we're about to have our next summit. And I was one of those Amotai businesses in the property development space. And so now I've joined Amotai to continue to support the growth and development of Māori Pacifica businesses. And, we've more than doubled that 500 when I was at Summit last year. So looking forward to the growth moving forward into the future.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it too. Is just a question I can think someone would ask if they were to watch this video later. Is there any sort of costs in the front end to join Amotai?
Good question. No cost to a supplier. So if you're a business, there's absolutely no cost. Your cost is your time of completing the registration form, which will take you 10 minutes.
10 minutes is your cost.
Yeah.
All we ask.
Our buyers are the ones that pay for the membership model there, and they will, it costs for them.
Nice.
I did just want to say that we do have, work colleagues based down in Wellington. They are just sick at the moment, so otherwise they would have been joining us. So that's Hirani and Karua.
So they're based in Porirua as well. Karina has a big experience background from its industry training, but they've got some really big opportunities, again, especially in our construction space. They are working quite closely with the Ngāti Toa community housing provider, and they're in the process of bringing forward a few of those contracts to some Amotai businesses. So for our Māori Pacifica businesses in the housing game or the construction game, it would be really beneficial right now, because Porirua, I've recently just moved up from Porirua. I'm there for the last 6 years. Recently moved to Tauranga in December. So yes, my wife's from there, and I have great and fond memories and connections to put. Actually, I'm coming back down in July for my mother-in-law's unveiling, so looking forward to getting back down there since moving to Tauranga. But there are some really good opportunities and a really great regional manager or supply diversity lead down there with Karewa and Harani.
Nice. Thank you for that. Probably there's only one more that I'm really interested in. This is is there any words of encouragement you could give someone who's maybe borderline thinking about, I don't know, taking that next step, signing up with Amotai, or just keeping their ideas in their head? Is there any sort of encouragement you can
Just
give
go
to
and
our
do
people?
it.
Just do
Kia
it.
kaha. Yeah.
I'm a serial entrepreneur, man. So I'm like, man, if you've got an idea, let's thrash it out. Let's put it into something and let's get going.
And there's
but
just
the-
there's opportunity out there that depending on what it is. I mean, but we are seeing that the government's changing the rules around procurement. So if it taps into any of those services, then definitely. But anything can, anything can tap into procurement services. So I say do it.
Yeah. And then the other thing that Tui touched on is, you've already opened yourself up to 1,150 Māori Pacifica buyers. And if you're worried about how you're going to sell your product, start with the whānau, start with the ainga, the ones that support and love you for you'll find who you are as an individual, as a Māori Pacifica person. The bros buy off the bros and the cuzzies buy off the cuzzies and things like that. That's what you've just signed up for free, and that's nationwide. Nationwide, you've got a network of 1,150 growing database of businesses. So yeah, tuwhitia te hopo is the actually that's probably the advice, the whakatauki that we would say is realize the fear and do it anyway. Tuwhitia te hopo. Yeah.
Nice. You hear that, guys? Especially with Māori and Pacific peoples, we'll tend to keep things to ourselves. So just take that step out and sign, give it a go. Got nothing to lose. It just costs 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tui and Paul, for your guys' time sharing about Amotai. I wish Amotai all the best for your future ventures. And also thank you to our attendees that have joined. That's all the questions here we've got for the Q&A part. I'll probably hand it over to Angela now, just to close us off.
Tui and Paul.
Ngā mihi.
Thanks, Kalei. Thank you, Tui and Paul. Yeah, look, if I can just do anything from out, after hearing about what Amotai does, is really encourage people. If it's only 10 minutes of your time, get in there, register. It seems like the return on investment is going to be, at least tenfold with the exposure that you'll be getting for your business. So if you do need any support in that, and you happen to, go away from the conference and then think, oh, who was that organisation? Please reach out to Connected. That's exactly what they're there to do, and they will connect you with either Tui or Paul or, the local agent, local connection for Amotai in your region. So, thank you so much for joining us. It's excellent to see that we've got some specific support out there for our Māori and Pacifica businesses to help grow their exposure. And if we can do anything to support that journey as well, please refer on to us here at Digital Boost. We can help with some of that exposure as well, with ensuring that your digital footprint is there and can be seen. Along with the Amotai database, we can help you get exposure via Google search, Google My Business, your website, etc. So if you need any support in that area, please come to us at Digital Boost. It's been wonderful to have you guys with us again. Amotai, we've done this conference together, I think 3 times now in other regions, and we do love supporting your goals of getting those extra businesses on board, and we do hope to be able to support you in the next 6 months to bring on those other 600 that you're looking to get. So thanks again for joining us. That does bring our session to a close this afternoon. Thank you to our audience who have joined us via our live stream or here in the webinar. If you would like to see any other sessions, please head over to the Connected website, where you can have a look at what's coming up this afternoon or tomorrow or Thursday. Post the conference, we will be sending you out a playlist where you can watch any of these sessions again if you'd like any further information, or if you want to recap on what you've heard today. All right, team. Lovely to have you. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Have a wonderful afternoon. See you later.
Thank you, Dee.
you.